It's Wednesday, October 21st, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. We're live at Waveney Park in New Canaan today, getting ready for the FCAC Championships cross country coming up today at 2. But first, we have a lot of news for you and a special guest that I'm so excited to have, Dr. Erin Krasner of Silver Hill Hospital, who is the chief of the Adolescent Transitional Living Program at Silver Hill. That's here in New Canaan. Dr. Krasner, welcome.
So nice to be here. It's a beautiful day. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a gorgeous day, and we've spoken to you before on a number of topics, and today we're talking about National Bullying Prevention Awareness Month, which is this month, right?
It is, and it's an important topic, a timely topic, and I'm really grateful that you and some other news outlets have taken an interest in the topic, and I'm hopeful that we can have a nice conversation today about it.
Yes, definitely. Now, Dr. Krasner, has this issue gotten worse? Is it social media? What is it? We hear so much about bullying now, more so than ever.
Yeah, well, I attribute that probably to increasing awareness. I think bullying is old. If you think about it from a mammalian or an ethological perspective, which means the study of animals, bullying is part of how humans interact in social circumstances, and non-human primates interact in social circles forever. And it has played a role historically, and for that reason, I don't think it's going away. So I sort of want to recast this not necessarily as Bullying Prevention Month, but maybe Bullying Awareness and Bullying Management Month.
Talk a little bit about bullying management. What does that mean?
So if bullying is here to stay, and we should define bullying as we go on, then really the question is, what are we to do as a society that ostensibly is different from our primate cousins, at least hopefully and in theory? Then what are we to do to help our kids, our teens, our young adults, and even adults who are part of the bullying phenom or paradigm? So let me start by explaining how I understand bullying. I understand bullying to be a situation where someone has power and authority, and there's a discrepancy in power and authority, and the person in authority deliberately, consciously exploits their powerful role to make the other person feel weak. So that can take many, many, many different forms. It can be exclusion, it can be physical intimidation and harm, and it can even be nonverbal communication. And all of this happens typically when someone feels disempowered, or someone is different in one way or another, and another person feels empowered and feels that they are in control and able to wield power in such a way that they are able to harm the other person for their own benefit. Not all bullies are aware that they're bullying. The typical Mean Girls kind of phenomenon where you fall into like, I'm a popular kid and we're popular and this is just part of being popular. And then all of a sudden behaviors are coming out of this person that are not necessarily indicative of who they are in their essence, but more or less reflective of where they are in terms of trying to be popular. And by that same token, not everyone who's a victim is always to be a victim of bullying. And hopefully this conversation will help parents, kids, teens, and adults think a little bit about what happens when they feel bullied and when they find themselves enacting bullying behaviors.
And now, a lot of times you hear, especially with young kids, because, bullying can start relatively young, and parents, maybe where does the line get drawn? When is it serious bullying? When is it kids being kids, which you hear a lot of?
I love that question because that is the question. Bullying is when someone feels exploited. When it's not a mean comment, because mean comments are, if bullying is mean comments, then we're all in trouble. It's when someone is systematically exploited. And the person who feels systematically exploited begins to develop cardinal signs and symptoms of a victim bully dynamic, which is to feel withdrawn or to not want to go to school or to develop signs and symptoms consistent with depression or anxiety and withdrawal. And these are the cardinal symptoms for someone who's bullied. And the risk factors for being bullied really are anything that's different from the norm. And the norm varies from place to place, socioeconomic, demographic to cultural context. So what is the norm in one place may not be the norm in another place. So you can go from being kind of king of the hill to the bottom of the totem pole just by dint of moving, for example. And that is why so many kids struggle with moving, because they lose their understanding of the cultural norms and expectations, and they find themselves in a risk factor for being bullied, and often they will be bullied. So the first thing to say to kids and parents who feel systematically exploited is they have to recognize that it's happening. They have to say, this is not garden variety teasing. This is not uncomfortable stuff that needs to be worked through. This is not being quote unquote overly sensitive, which is not something I like to talk about too much anyway, because I don't really know what that means. But it is when you know or feel in your heart that you're being attacked. And when that happens, that level of aggression is so damaging. And it's damaging not just for the person who's being bullied, but it's actually horrible for the bully. And the statistics reflect that most bullies have themselves been bullied. And really, that is the highest risk kind of cohort within the bullying dynamic for psychopathology. The kids who have both been bullied and are now bullies are the ones who go on to develop really serious problems that often need help.
And as I understand, you create some toolkits for parents, right, to kind of help them with this. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the toolkits are geared to help people deal with this. Again, recasting Bullying Prevention Month into Bullying Management Month. What are we actually going to do? So I've already sort of let the cat out of the bag on the victim side. Let's peel out for a second and look at what happens when there's a bullying event. Mm-hmm. When there's a bullying event, someone is exploiting another person. And in that exploitative moment, there's someone who's watching. So we have to also remember that bullying is a societal and environmental issue that is going to impact not just the bully and the victim, but also the people that are watching. So let's bring them in to this conversation, because I don't know if you've ever seen someone be bullied or yourself been bullied, but watching someone be bullied is in some ways as uncomfortable as being bullied. Witnessing that aggression, not knowing necessarily what to do with it, is terrifying. So the toolkit is about what to do if you as a parent or a kid feel like you're being bullied, mm-hmm. What to do if you or a parent or the parent is concerned that you are the bully, mm-hmm. and what to do if you're the bystander. So we're talking all three here. All right, so let's do victim first. The victims, as I've laid out for you, there are risk factors that are pretty consistent. You're in the minority, and that may be in the sexual preference minority, that may be in the racial minority, that may be in the socioeconomic demographic minority, that may be in the I don't play sports minority, whatever it is. You're in the minority of something, you're different. That's the risk factor. The symptoms and cardinal signs of being bullied are, as I've already outlined, but I'm going to repeat them because I think it bears mentioning. Kids don't want to go to school. Kids want to avoid the bully. Kids want to avoid the bus. Mm-hmm. Kids want to avoid wherever they fear that they may be exploited. Parents need to be tuned in. They need to look at their kids. They need to talk to their kids. All parents love their kids. Even parents who are abusive love their kids. And I'm encouraging all parents to find a way to connect with their kids, especially if they think that their kids may have one or more risk factors for being bullied, and especially in combination if they see risk factors and cardinal signs. They gotta be clued in. And when they're clued in, they're talking to their kids and they're strategizing with their kids. All right, what's going on? Tell me about lunch. Tell me about, who's in the popular crowd. Like what's, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy and Sarah and however the power, every playground's got politics. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, who's doing what, where, how are you fitting in, how's it working? Strategize and empower. Empower the kid to say no. Empower the kid to walk away. Empower the kid for selective ignoring. Now listen, those are first line defenses. They are not always going to work. If your kid doesn't think that you have his or her back, then that sends an implicit sign that you are somehow in cahoots with the bully. And that the solution for exploitation may be really hard to come by. So you have to also feel, as a parent, empowered to go to the school. Schools are invariable in terms of how they deal with bullying. Almost all schools don't want it. Few schools have the infrastructure to manage it. But if you bring it to their attention, they have a better shot at managing it than if you don't. So you're going to bring it to their attention. That's the toolkit.
Right.
Now, on the bully side, you guys, your listeners, your viewers, bullies are everywhere. It's part of life. There's a fine line between being alpha and being a bully. And I don't want to sit here and pretend like the bullies can't be helped. Because a lot of bullies, especially the ones who react, I divide aggression into two. I say there's hot aggression and cold aggression. Hot aggression is when someone does or says something to you and you have an impulsive rage kind of response and you lash out. That's hot aggression. You guys, we're good at treating that. We're money at treating that. Cold aggression, where it's calculated, premeditated, that's a lot harder to treat. Hot aggression, bullies who have hot aggression have anger management problems. Anger management problems are rampant throughout society. We can help those guys and gals, no problem. But it does merit perhaps some attention. And as a parent, I don't want you to feel guilty and shameful if your kids manifests some bullying traits and is sometimes demonstrates hot or cold aggression. I don't want you to feel ashamed or humiliated. This is part of life. But we do have to be strong as parents and say, hey man, or hey kiddo, we got to work with you on this because this is unacceptable. And there's a big inclination when you're a parent to say, not my kid couldn't and my kid couldn't, but we got to be open to the fact that it's possible. And so I say, let's help the bullies. Let's not just think about the victims. Of course, we want to think about the victims, but it takes two to tango. And let's help the bullies. Let's give them the support that they need. Let's give them the understanding that they need. Let's try to understand why they might feel the need to be a bully. And let's try to help them. And the third group are the bystanders. Now look, some people are wired up to be bystanders. They're going to see some injustice and they're going to stand up and they're going to say no. You as parents or kids who are wired up to be bystanders, you guys have to be aware that there's some risks to being an upstander, which is going from bystander to advocating. And you may be next on the bully list if you go from bystander to upstander. and you just need to know the risks that are a part of that. And all this is on the Silver Hill website. We have a nice little article, and I hope some of your listeners and viewers will take a look at it, especially if they want to remember some of the things I've said. It's laid out there really nicely.
And it's silverhillhospital.org, is it?
That's right.
Okay.
All one word, silverhillhospital.org.
Great. And finally, just what is like one of the most important things parents can do, especially in this age of cyberbullying? What are the things they should look for or keep an eye on, most importantly?
Oh, you had to raise cyberbullying. Had to go there. Cyberbullying makes bullying ubiquitous. It makes it harder to manage because it's just coming and coming and coming. It's anonymous. It's hard to keep track of. It's hard to prosecute. It's hard to understand whose domain is it? Is it the school domain? Is it the authorities' domain? But it's unacceptable, and it's so damaging. And a lot of the kids that I work with have been told horrible, horrible things on social media. As parents, you want to be dialed into that, just like you're dialed into what's going on the playground. What's so-and-so posting? Do you feel like you have to get that many likes? How many likes do you really need for it to be good? There's like data to support popularity now. Like before it used to just be popularity. Now we got data. So what does that mean? Open a dialogue, talk to the kids. How does it feel if X and such is posted and you're omitted? And that's one small instance. But then what if someone's saying deliberate, harsh, awful things to you? That is unacceptable. Block that person. As a victim, get them out. Don't stand for it. Talk to your parents. Get the help you need to advocate for yourself. Because the more it happens, the worse it gets. And I think we need to be relatively aggressive when it comes to cyberbullying because it is brutal, and it doesn't go away because once it's on there, it's on there. And we want to educate everyone to use the virtual space with a lot of respect and to think carefully about what we post and what we don't post.
Well, Dr. Krasner, I think you're making all good points. And I think what I'm hearing is empowering our children, helping to build confidence in them, and not being ashamed, like you said, if your child is doing the bullying, and just trying to work it out and talk to them and maybe get help at Silver Hill Hospital, right?
Hey, listen, we're here to help, especially the Fairfield community. We're a fantastic hospital. I'm available as a triage point. It's a relatively small community, and if people want to email me directly, they can, krasner@silverhillhospital.org. If you want to, we have all kinds of resources on our internet site, and we want to be helpful. We want to be a resource to Fairfield County.
All right, Dr. Krasner, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with a lot of your headlines and news, sports, weather, all that on your coffee break after this.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
In Pound Ridge since 1993, the Wine Connection is one of America's best wine shops. Visit our beautiful store for the greatest in wine and knowledgeable service. With wonderful values from around the world to collectibles for your cellar, we are your one-stop source. Visit our online shop at wineconn.com and make sure to sign up for email updates. With great offers, new arrivals, and special events, don't miss all the action at The Wine Connection, including tastings every weekend. The Wine Connection, located at 32 Westchester Avenue, Pound Ridge, New York.
Football University, the nation's leading football training experience, is now accepting applications for its 2015 camps. Our elite faculty of NFL coaches and top professionals teach position-specific on the field.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The
Football
Darien
University, the nation's leading football training experience, is now accepting applications for its 2015 camps. Our elite faculty of NFL coaches and top professionals teach position-specific on the field and in the classroom to improve your football IQ and help you reach your full potential as a player. Apply today at footballuniversity.org. Football University, where technique plus talent beats talent alone.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com. Healthy, confident smiles begin at We're back on this Wednesday, October 21st edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, live from Waveney Park in New Canaan. I'm Kate Czaplinski. Rob Adams will be joining us in a bit with weather and sports. And we had a great conversation with Dr. Aaron Krasner about bullying, but now it's time to give you some of today's news. An elderly woman was struck and killed by an Amtrak train just west of the Southport station Tuesday afternoon. The woman was hit around 1:45 in the afternoon, according to a Metro North spokesman. Metro North was warning of delays after the incident. This is the fifth time in 2015 and the seventh time in little more than a year that a person has been struck by a train in the Fairfield area. On September 9th, a pedestrian was fatally struck by the 10:04 a.m. Metro North train from Grand Central Terminal to New Haven at about 11:20 a.m. just east of the Westport station. The name of that victim has not yet been released. Police in Bridgeport have identified the man stabbed to death Sunday night as 28-year-old Jason Rosado. On October 18th, around 11 at night, police officers responded to calls regarding an assault with a firearm on Goldenrod Avenue near the corner of Madison Avenue. Upon arrival at the scene, police officers found a 28-year-old male suffering from multiple stab wounds to the chest, side, and stomach. The victim was immediately transported to St. Vincent's Hospital by ambulance. The incident that resulted in the victim being stabbed, witnesses reported that 4 masked men, some displaying a firearm, entered the victim's home. The 4 suspects reportedly ransacked the victim's house, and detectives were investigating what, if anything, was taken. Detectives believe the victim was targeted and that this incident was not likely a random act. Shortly after arriving at St. Vincent's Hospital, Rosado was pronounced dead and the incident was confirmed as a homicide. Police officers and detectives are actively investigating. This incident brings the total number of homicides in Bridgeport since January 1st to 14. Anyone with information regarding the crime should contact detectives at 203-581-5224. And in other news today, an 84-year-old woman is dead after her parked car rolled backward and hit her and a neighbor while they were talking in Stamford, police said. NBC Connecticut reports that the Stamford Police Department's Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Squad is investigating the accident that happened in a Bedford Street parking lot. It was reported to police at about 4 in the afternoon Tuesday. The 84-year-old woman parked her Oldsmobile Intrigue sedan in the driveway at her condominium and got out to talk to a neighbor, police said. The car rolled down the driveway while they were talking and hit both her and her female neighbor, knocking the other woman down. A Stamford Emergency Medical Service ambulance transported both women to Stamford Hospital. Stamford Hospital's trauma team treated the elderly driver, but she died at the hospital of her injuries. The neighbor struck by the car is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries at the hospital and is expected to be released. Police have not yet released the name of the driver until they notify the family. Well, here in New Canaan, close to 80 people gathered with former Florida Governor Jeb Bush at the New Canaan home of Bob and Susan Bishop on October 15th. Bush is campaigning for the Republican presidential nomination and has made 2 stops in New Canaan this year. Local supporter Nick Howard said the Bush campaign considers its fundraising in New Canaan very successful and that they got about 300 donors. In the photo, which we have up, Governor Bush at the Bishop residence with Lily Singh, Heather Freeman, and Wendy Pratt. New Canaan First Selectman Rob Balazzi and Selectman Nick Williams were also in attendance to show support for Bush. A Shelton couple was arrested for larceny in the 5th degree, credit card theft, and illegal use of a credit card by Trumbull police on Wednesday, October 14th. Police said that 37-year-old Alicia Riggs and 28-year-old Tim Liakos found a wallet in the parking lot of a doctor's office on Technology Drive on June 4th and attempted to take out cash advanced through the victim's credit card. According to a report, Liakos and Riggs were observed on a surveillance tape from TD Bank in Trumbull Center on June 4th trying to impersonate the wallet's owner, who police said was another Shelton resident. The victim noticed that there were fraudulent charges on his credit card, and that launched a police 4-month-long investigation, which revealed the couple purchased about almost $800 worth of various items on June 4th and June 5th before both of the cards were canceled. Riggs, who is the owner of the Tumbling Room in Shelton, was also charged with conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, conspiracy to commit identity theft, and criminal attempt to commit larceny. Liakos, who police said suffered a major brain injury in Vermont in 2013, was also charged with criminal impersonation, identity theft, and larceny in the 5th degree. Trumbull police were able to identify Liakos with the help of the Shelton Police Department, which had his mugshot on record and which matched the images from their surveillance at TD Bank. Liakos told police that he went into the bank with the wallet and its contents, believing it belonged to Riggs, his girlfriend. He said that he thought it was her credit card and he didn't realize that what he was doing involved identity theft. And that couple is scheduled to appear in court today, October 21st. Well, in other news, Darien has been named the snobbiest place in Connecticut by Road Snacks, a data-based travel website. The town ranked first in a top 10 list compiled by the website, which based its results on data and analytics. Determining factors included median home price and income, percent of population with a college degree, and private schools, art galleries, and theaters per capita. While snobbiest may not be a title worth bragging about, the Darien Times says the criteria seem at least to be a bit flattering. The towns that ranked after Darien include Greenwich, Old Greenwich, Weston, New Canaan, Westport, Wilton, Riverside, Coscob, and finally, Simsbury, Connecticut. Well, we're now going to throw it over to Rob Adams, who is with us here at Waveney, and it's just a gorgeous day. Rob?
And I'll try not to be too snobby. Kate, thank you. It's amazing to me how 4 elements of that list were Greenwich. Greenwich, Old Greenwich, Riverside, and Coscob, whatever. It is what it is. I'm sure scientific measures were used there. Partly sunny, beautiful day. 72 for the high with a northwest wind around 5. And to be honest, as we get ready for the cross-country championship, I find myself thinking runners won't like these kinds of conditions. Seems a little too warm now, but I'll be curious to hear what they have to tell us. Partly cloudy tonight, 53 for the low. Now, that's a nice night to run. Partly sunny, a slight chance of showers, and more of the same tomorrow, 72 for the high with a southwest wind from 5 to 10. Mostly cloudy in the evening, 50 for the low. 56, sunny and breezy on Friday. 39 the low Friday night, mostly clear. Saturday, 57 for the high with mostly sunny conditions, 45 for the low, 61 for Sunday as we get back to work, mostly sunny, and 57 degrees. Right now in New Canaan, it is 69. 68 in Shelton. Darien has 68. And Greenwich is the big winner, coming up just second in being snobby, but there's 72 degrees in Greenwich. Beautiful day. Enjoy it. Kate, back to you.
Thanks so much, Rob. Well, we're going to take a quick break, come back with a lot more news. Rob Adams is going to have the latest on high school sports, and I might fill in for Donald Eng and give today's history report. That's coming up on your coffee break after this.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Carl Chevrolet is proud to sponsor HAN Network's coverage of the area's best high school sports. No matter the sport, competition in the FCIAC is spirited, so get out and cheer on your favorite team. If you can't make it to the game, be sure to bring HAN Network with you to keep up with the action. Visit Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
While the temperatures are cooling down, the fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait that are abundant in the Long Island Sound. If you love the New England coast during autumn, this is the time to be on the water. The latest from Shimano, Quantum, Avet, Hoagie, Phase 2 and more are in stock and ready to go at the dock shop. And don't mind those fall breezes with jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece from Grundens and Stormer. The dock shop will keep you warm and dry. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com.
Remind you of the last time you went into a car dealership? Experience stress-free waters at Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram and find out how easy buying a car really is.
And we're back here at Waveney Park in New Canaan on your coffee break. I'm Kate Czaplinski, filling in for Donald Ang on today's History Report. A scandalous performance that would later be used to sell groceries. But first, 1512, Augustinian friar Martin Luther joins the theological faculty of the University of Wittenberg. That employment did not end on particularly good terms. 1805, Napoleonic Wars, Battle of Trafalgar. A British fleet led by Vice Admiral Lord Nelson defeats a combined French and Spanish fleet off the coast of Spain. By the way, the most famous military quote in British history was the result of simple laziness. As the fleets closed the distance, Nelson ordered the message, "England is confident that every man will do his duty," to be hoisted. But the flagman replied that there was no flag for confident, and rather than spelling it out, suggested expects as a substitute. Nelson replied, "That will do." 1959 in New York City, the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, opens to the public. The cylindrical building, wider at the top than the bottom, was conceived as a temple of the spirit. It houses an expanding collection of Impressionist and other non-traditional art. 1973, Fred Dreyer of the then Los Angeles Rams becomes the first player in NFL history to score 2 safeties in the same game, and you thought starring in the 1980s detective show Hunter was his career highlight. 1983, the meter is defined as the 17th General Conference on Weights and Measures as the distance light travels in a vacuum in 1-299,792,458 of a second. So that's something. So make sure you calibrate your meter stick tonight because it may be inaccurate. And finally, in 1858, there was this. first performance of the Can-Can in Paris, marked by high kicking and manipulation of the dancers' long skirts. The name comes from the French can-can, meaning scandal. And of course, as Don mentioned earlier in his report, I can't help but think of ShopRite every time I see that now. But it is now time to throw it over to Rob Adams for the latest on high school sports. Rob?
All right, Kate, thank you. We've got our 88 miles per hour, our 1.21 gigawatts. It is Back to the Future Day. But let's talk sports first and foremost. From girls soccer yesterday, Ludlow over Danbury 2-0. Trumbull took care of Stamford 1-0. Darien over Central 7-0. Ward knocked off Staples 2-1. It was St. Joe's over Norwalk 8-0. New Canaan got by Wilton 1-0. Ridgefield over Trinity Catholic 7-1, and Greenwich took care of McMahon 3-0. To field hockey, Greenwich 7 and West Hill 0. It was Stamford over Ridgefield 4-0, and Wilton over Ludlow 2-0. A lot of shutouts yesterday around the world of sports. Now, here today, where we are at Waveney Park, we've obviously got a big day coming up with the FCAC Cross Country Championships. First race will be the girls' race. The girls' freshmen stepping off at 2:15. The boys' freshmen follow at 2:30. The varsity race begins at 2:50 for the girls, 3:20 for the boys. The girls' junior varsity begins at 3:50, and the boys' junior varsity at 4:20. Also on the schedule today, Greenwich at Darien and boys soccer with St. Joe's hosting Central, Trinity Catholic at Staples, Wilton at West Hill, Ridgefield home for Trumbull, Stamford at Ludlow, Danbury at New Canaan, Ward at Norwalk. Field hockey, Ward at Darien, St. Joe's at McMahon, and Norwalk visits Trumbull. The girls' volleyball, it is Danbury hosting Greenwich, Ridgefield at Norwalk, McMahon at Wilton, Trumbull at Trinity Catholic, Darien at West Hill, Stamford at Central, New Canaan and St. Joe's, and Ward home for Ludlow. And girls swimming and diving, you have Staples and New Canaan, Darien home for Ward, Ludlow at Trumbull, Greenwich at Norwalk, McMahon, and St. Joseph at Seymour. And of course, the FCAC Championship in cross country right here, Waveney Park, New Canaan, 2 o'clock coming up here later today on the HAN network. With all that said, it's heavy stuff. Weight had nothing to do with it, but we're going to send it back to Kate, going back to the future. Kate?
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, time to get back to some more of today's news. The group opposing the sale of Stratford's Water Pollution Control Authority plant will host an open forum next Tuesday. WPCA Stratford Get Answers plans to host the townwide open forum from 7:30 to 9 at night Tuesday at St. Joseph's Church on Stratford Avenue. The forum will include a presentation from group leaders and a question and answer session. The forum is important, according to Group Treasurer Henry Bruce, because he said there is a lot at stake in this proposed sale, and many voters want answers to important questions before they vote on the referendum November 3rd. Bruce said the forum is being planned because they want people to know the facts. This open forum will allow those still undecided to come and learn the benefits and who will pay. WPCA Stratford Get Answers challenged the town in Superior Court and won a judgment in June that halted the planned sale of the sewer plant to the Greater New Haven Water Pollution Control Authority. More on that story at StratfordStar.com. Well, the disposition hearing in the case of a former 7th grade Wilton teacher, Dr. Timothy Leonard, which had been scheduled for Tuesday, October 20th at Bridgeport Superior Court, has been continued until Tuesday, November 3rd. Leonard was charged with risk of injury to a minor and 4th-degree sexual assault after being arrested the evening of February 10th when Trumbull police found him with a 14-year-old boy in a Jeep Cherokee in a parking lot on Quarry Road in Trumbull. Before being statutorily sealed in September, his court files listed not guilty pleas on charges of risk of injury to a child, which is a Class C felony, and 4th-degree sexual assault, a Class A misdemeanor. Leonard is represented by an attorney from Maya Murphy, which has an office in Westport. Police said during the course of speaking with Leonard that the 14-year-old, it was determined they had engaged in an intimate act while parked in that vehicle. Leonard told police he met the teen through an online dating app and that he likes college-aged boys. He denied knowing the victim was 14 and said he would not have gotten involved with him had he known his age. Leonard was released after posting a $10,000 bond. He also taught at Sacred Heart University and was a teacher at Middlebrook School in Wilton from 1996 to 2006 and then from 2010 until his resignation resignation on June 30th of this year. Well, on Sunday, the Bridgeport Police Department arrested a man for possession of an illegal firearm. Around 2 in the morning, police officers responded to a call regarding a male wearing a black and red hoodie, armed with a black firearm on Summerfield Avenue near the corner of Barnum Avenue. Upon arrival at the scene, police officers identified a man, 25-year-old Reginald Moss, matching the description. As police officers approached the suspect, Moss shoved a police officer and he attempted to flee the scene on foot, running south on Summerfield Avenue. Police officers then caught up to the suspect, apprehended him, and recovered a firearm from his waistband. The firearm had an altered serial number and contained 10 rounds of ammunition. Moss was charged with carrying a pistol without a permit, altering or removing the ID from a firearm, possession of a dangerous weapon, and interfering with police officers. His bond was set at $50,000. Well, those driving on the Merritt Parkway near Exit 47 Wednesday and Thursday night should expect delays from an overnight resurfacing project, that according to the state's transportation department. The work will be done from 10 at night to 5:30 in the morning Wednesday, today, October 21st, and Thursday, October 22nd. The project will be performed on the Park Avenue roundabout, as well as the southbound off-ramp of Exit 47 that drivers use to get to Sacred Heart University. The Department of Transportation said in a release that drivers should expect closures to occur on the southbound exit off-ramp in Trumbull, which will require a detour while the resurfacing project is taking place. The detour route includes taking Exit 46 southbound on Jefferson Street and driving north to Park Avenue. Emergency vehicles, of course, will be allowed access, and state police and traffic control will be guiding drivers through that work zone. Well, we're going to throw it one last time over to Rob Adams. It's such a gorgeous day here, Rob, but what's on tap for the rest of it?
It is just an absolutely beautiful day here in New Canaan, Kate, and we've got 72 degrees for the high, partly sunny conditions, although right now it's mostly sunny. There are some wisps of clouds in the sky, but that's about it. 53 for the low tonight, partly cloudy conditions, partly sunny and 72 tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 50 for the low. 56 is the high for Friday. We have 69 here in New Canaan, 68 in Shelton, Darien 68. Trumbull has 72. We're making new friends all the time, and we've got the FCAC Cross Country Championship coming up at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. You guys can't see what's in the shot right now, but I'll just wave and send it back over to Kate.
Thanks so much, Rob. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of your Coffee Break. As Rob said, we're going to be live at 2 with the FCAC Championships of Cross Country. You can find out how you can watch that at championships.han.network. Definitely don't miss it. But I will be back tomorrow at 11. Have a great day, everyone.